So we are all live. Thank you so much, Dr. Pinaki, and we will also have Dr. Sidharth coming in for this very special session on the integrated program in management. In fact, the IPM program, which is a 5-year program started by IIM Indore way back in 2011, has caught on, and today one of the most coveted institutes in the country, and from Hyderabad, NALSAR, known very well for their law program, has also launched the 5-year integrated IPM program. I have with me Dr. Pinaki and Dr. Sidharth Chauhan. Welcome to you, Sidharth. And all of you who are there waiting patiently want to know what is it all about? Why is it that we have a NALSAR, a law university, starting an IPM program? What is unique about this program? And how is it that you can get into this program? In fact, they are already 1 year into the game. The first year students have come to the second year students, some of them fantastic work that they have done despite the pandemic. I think all and more in this particular session will be coming to you straight right away live. All of you, of my friends who are on YouTube live, I hope you have already subscribed to our Career Launcher IPM BBA channel. If you have not, please do that. You can comment, ask questions, and every question that you ask will be answered by these eminent gentlemen. Dr. Pinaki is also the head of the IPM, the head of Department of IPM, is also director of the legal area. He has done fantastic work before joining NALSAR, I think last year, Dr. Pinaki?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So may I start before we will keep getting in fact, the first few comments have already come in. Of course, it's just a hello, hi from everybody else. But may I ask you, Dr. Pinaki, why is it that a law school, that too a #1 law school in the country, started an integrated program in management? In fact, there's other questions which are already coming in. I will put it up on screen for you, but all yours, Dr. Pinaki.
Thank you, ARKS, and thank you, Aditi. Of course, I also welcome Sidharth to this discussion. Sidharth has been a very, very prominent aid, help, and friend philosopher. Well, just to give you a brief about the thought processes behind the program and why NALSAR. Yeah, many people do ask me. Many students actually ask. So let me start by saying that NALSAR is an university which is full of academic innovation. It's not limited to only the IPM program. NALSAR also has several short-term 1-year and 2-year master's level programs which are highly innovative. The idea behind the IPM program originated because in the year 2013, NALSAR became one of the leading and the first law universities in the country to have its own Department of Management Studies offering 2 years full-time MBA program. Now, the thought process behind that, of course, was that there was a guideline from the Supreme Court, which was followed by the central government. There were funds allocated to appoint court managers in all the high courts and the district courts in the country. And NALSAR, of course, wanted to jump into the bandwagon and be a leading light in terms of providing that kind of education in court administration and management. And therefore, we started the Department of Management Studies in 2013. But by the time I joined in 2013, I already knew about the IIM Indore program. And from 2016 onwards, we started thinking about the program, about launching a downward integrating our MBA program and launching an IPM program on the lines of the IIM Indore program. And this is the beauty of NALSAR, that we not only teach the art of argument and valid justification, but we also pursue it. And therefore, we took time and we integrated everything that is possible and that is doing the rounds in the country, in the academia, to include courses, include the NAP, into the program. And of course there were it's financially viable, so the university becomes more viable in terms of its finances. So we did not want to jump in directly, but we wanted to first create the processes so that the system ensures that the program is delivered as it is desired. That was the genesis of the program. It took a lot of time in us thinking about it, because there are people who will be investing their futures in it. It's not just the money. It's a complete future that several students will be investing, and we wanted to ensure that it's as foolproof as possible.
Excellent.
Siddharth.
So that you have anything more to add on this?
Yeah, so I was, so far my interaction with the management students was quite limited until last year. So I also, in fact, joined NALSAR in 2013, but primarily for the law teaching. And my teaching actually is more in the Ll.B and the Ll.M programs. So I teach constitutional law along with another senior teacher in our third year. Fourth and fifth year, I offer electives in political theory and legal theory. And the Ll.M course, of course, I was supporting some of my colleagues with courses in research methods, and now I'm teaching jurisprudence. So generally, a person like me would not have a connection with a business studies or a management program. But given that we are a small institution, and given that we are trying to create an interdisciplinary flavor in all of our courses, we did have to think about what would be our next step. And as Pinaki said, in 2016 itself, we were, of course, concerned about what we should do next to expand NALSAR. Because as you know, ARKS, NALSAR is still a pretty small institution. Like most of the other national law schools, we began with a very small intake. When Professor Ranveer Singh was here initially, the intake used to be only 60 per year. Then gradually, with government support, as the school grew, the intake became 80. And by the time we joined, I mean, we are still relatively new entrants to NALSAR in comparison to our senior colleagues. So by 2015, we expanded the intake in the 5-year B.A.Ll.B to 120. Then in the pandemic, I think people didn't notice it, but in the pandemic in 2020, our intake for B.A.Ll.B has now gone up to 140. And next year, because I know some students may also be looking at CLAT, the intake will be around 160. But this is obviously not enough to ensure the financial viability of the institution, because over time, the public grants for higher education have been on the decline in percentage terms. And almost every public institution also needs to think about diversifying their sources of finance and revenue. So we are being very honest about it. Money was a factor, which is one of the reasons why the MBA program was also started. And then a few years down the line, we had to think about what would be the next viable program for us in terms of full-time offering. Of course, distance education is much easier to expand. And if you have seen our website, if you have seen the NALSAR Pro website, a large number of distance education programs have actually started in the last 2 to 3 years, and they're doing quite well. In fact, last year we enrolled around 2,000 students across our distance education. But when it came to the full-time programs, we basically had narrowed down to two choices. One would be to start a 3-year Ll.B, and the second would be to think about expanding the management department. Now, I know many people are asking that, look, NLS has started a 3-year Ll.B. Why have you guys not traveled in that direction, right? Or Jindal, despite being a new private institution, has offered both a 5-year Ll.B and a 3-year Ll.B. So why have you not started a 3-year Ll.B? Because logically, people would associate us more with that. Now, I wanted to share that we have formal approval from our governing bodies to start a 3-year Ll.B. And given a good support from Telangana government, definitely in a couple of years from now, we may be looking at that option. I'm not saying it will definitely happen, but it is definitely one of the options for us. But at that time, from 2016 onwards, we started narrowing down on the options. And to be honest, it was just before the pandemic when we were able to decide that, look, the IPM seems like a more practical option. Then again, because of the pandemic, right, it took us time to get the approvals from the governing bodies. And as you know, last year, we were right in the middle of the second wave when the admission announcement came. So it's a program which has started at a time of crisis. But thankfully, because of our flexible schedule, we were able to delay the start of the academic year. And last year, by August, we got around 780 applications. And by September, we were able to start the program. So all I want to tell you is that it's not a decision that we have made in a hurry or a decision that we have made simply because, we wanted to start a new program. It's a very well thought out decision. It's been made after considering our existing faculty strength, also our subsequent hiring plans. Also, I think we mentioned this last year when we met you. Campus wise, we are ready. We have built up new hostel spaces. We have built up dining spaces, and more classrooms are being built. So infrastructure-wise, we are ready now to host this program. 2 or 3 years
Excellent.
ago, we were not ready for this program. So that's another reason why we delayed it.
So the first question that comes, and probably I will ask Dr. Pinaki to answer, is how do you get there? So fine, you have started this program. Very, very basics of how do
Yeah.
you get into this program?
Okay, as I said, I mean, NALSAR is a public university and we are governed by our statutory authorities, which are the Academic Council, the Executive Council, the Finance Committee, and the General Council. And as of now, the IPM program has very, very limited seats. I think all the seats put together, and please make no mistake, those seats which are for foreign nationals cannot be converted into local or national seats. That's one thing that I wanted to broad based say. Now the idea behind the entry of this program is because of this limitation of seats. We want to have the very best who are high on intent and also have the capability and the skill levels to get there and make a career out of what they receive here. So fill in the application form. The application forms are out there, I think, on our website. Yes. Register, fill in. The application form is fairly simple. So fill in your personal details, 10th class scores, 12th class scores. If you have not received your 12th class scores, then you can upload them later when you receive them upon announcement of the results. Then, of course, we accept 5 different scores, which gives more number of students more choices and more chances as well. So we have IPMAT Indore, IPMAT Rohtak, GIPMAT, CLAT, and of course IIT JEE. And when you upload your scores, we will take only the best that you have scored in any of these 5 tests. Whichever is in which you have performed best is what will be taken. And of course that has some weightage. And then interviews. Now these interviews again are designed so that we understand that our offering and your mindset are well vetted. The idea behind our program, as I think Sidharth has already mentioned, is interdisciplinarity. And the focus that we have here in the program is to ensure that people are getting a wide variety of courses to become human beings, humane leaders, level 5 leaders who are full of humility, and also they are high on capability. And that is the baseline idea. So in your interviews, people will be asking you questions about, can you form an opinion? India is buying Russian cheap oil. What is your opinion? And the idea is that can you curate an answer which is well informed? I mean, that tells us a lot about whether you're reading, whether how intended you are in terms of pursuing a career. And that's how you get there. I mean, you have to score. You have to do well in almost all the fields, and that's how you get there.
Excellent. So just to reiterate that what Dr. Pinaki has said, he is the Dean of IPM himself, of NALSAR. There are 2 stages to get you to the IPM of NALSAR. Stage 1, you need to write a written test. Of course, you need to apply for IPM NALSAR separately, but write any of the 5 written tests: IPMAT Indore, IPMAT Rohtak, GIPMAT, CLAT, the law entrance test for all the NLUs, and even an IIT JEE. What
Mhm.
does this show? In fact, there is a question that an Abhishek Kumar has asked: is it for commerce students?
Yeah,
Clearly, it is for everybody. It is
yeah.
for commerce students, it is for art students, it is for science students, it's for humanity students, it's for students who are really interested in what Dr. Pinaki has very, very clearly said. So, stage 1 is the return test after the application, and stage 2, even if you get very good score, whichever the best score that you're taken, uh, you will have to cross the personal interview. That's a very, very short answer to and a very detailed answer of what is going to be asked in the interview. Also, Dr. Pinaki, thank you so much. Now, this is a question which probably one of you can answer. Is getting into an IPM in IIM Indore hard? I can answer that, but I thought I will just take your
Yeah, sure.
input in this.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we are also looking at IIM Indore in an Ekalavya kind of a situation where they don't directly mentor us, but we look at what they're doing, and we are influenced our strategies in developing the program and in rendering the courses, in getting the right kind of people to offer the courses is also inspired from the IIM Indore program. And I'll tell you something. I mean, there is no university or institute, be it any other IIM as well, who can tell you that IIM Indore is not their pseudo mentor. They started it off in 2011. So yeah, I mean, it's difficult, but it's worth it. Yeah, sorry, Siddharth.
so I just wanted to, because I think some of the students might still be looking at many options. I
Yeah,
wanted to clarify that I think last year IIM Indore, the IPM program had around 17,000 applications, and they have 120 seats. And they're obviously the market leaders in this program. I think there is no doubt. But now that newer options have come, and remember the applicant pool is increasing, it's important for students to know about the other options. And
Absolutely.
like we said, NALSAR is a small institution. So far, our reputation has largely been developed in the legal studies area. So we are a new entrant, and we'll be humble enough to say that you can't compare us directly. But like Pinaki said, we are
What I will say, Siddharth, and having seen the 60 odd students of Nalsar and also seen the IM Indore students, I think the way you have selected the student community for the IPM first year program, at least I can talk about, is no less than students getting into an IIM Indore or an IIM Rohtak or any other IIM. I mean, I'm really, really impressed with them. I'm sure Dr. Pinaki will agree with me on this because it's his students. But
right.
I had the good fortune of having speaking to all these guys and
No, and thanks
spending
for
time
that
with them.
feedback. I mean, we didn't realize that the feedback would be so positive because we are looking at it as a long-term process. I mean, it will take us 5 years to build the program, and the real tangible outcomes will come after our students graduate. So I think it's better for us to just keep learning and keep gathering information from elsewhere. But the other point I wanted to just address is that at the class 12 stage, especially for students who may not be clear about what sort of program they want to pursue, and I'm linking it to another question which has just come. Remember, irrespective of whether you study science, humanities, or commerce in high school, our program actually will have elements of all three disciplines.
yeah,
So, for
yeah,
instance, when you get into your first year and second year courses, because primarily it is a BBA degree in the first 3 years, subjects such as economics, commerce, business administration are obviously there. But what is different about the NALSAR BBA program, which is the first 3 years of the IPM program, is that you also have courses in the social sciences, which you would normally find in a BA honors program. For example, there are courses in political theory, in sociology, on the Indian constitution and business, on critical thinking, which are courses which you would normally find, let's say, in a BA honors program. So we are trying to give you a flavor of the social science courses which are taught either in a comparative BA program, and also the teachers who are delivering those courses are mostly the same teachers who are teaching the law students.
yeah,
So there is an interaction and interface which you will find. And the other value addition that you will get is that you will also be taught to look at things not just from the perspective of the textbooks or the assigned syllabus, but more from a experiential approach, right? Not just a discussion in class about what the reading material says, but through simulations, through case studies, through interactive exercises. And in that sense, the college experience is going to be very different from what you may have done in high school. So obviously, the program is open to students from all disciplines, but there will obviously be some extent of difficulty and some extent of rigor which you will find only after you get into the program. For example, one question which we got even in another webinar a few days ago was that what about students who have not done math in high school? And I think Pinaki will address that even students who may not have done math will get the support and the training so that they can cope. So I think irrespective of which discipline you're studying in high school, you should think about this program. General advice, I think we can only give you if you tell us more about yourselves, because we know that every student cannot be a fit for every program. So it's important for you to identify what are the options available to you and which program is better suited to your aptitude, your long-term plans, and that level of clarity should come when you're applying for these institutions.
Right. A basic question on how many seats are there, Dr. Pinaki?
So yeah, we have 60 seats, as I said. I mean, we are a public university. I know many students wrote to me specifically asking this question. I get calls from parents throughout on almost daily basis. I know Sidharth has also been hounded, but we have 60 seats, and after the present change in the intake formalities as demanded by the central government, we have introduced a 10% EWS quota, so that takes it to 66, and 3 seats we can take over and above, so that takes it to 69. On top of that, there are, I think, 12 seats which are for foreign nationals, 4 of which are for SARC students, 4 for non-SARC, and 4 for ICCR students. I will repeat, and through you, I hope that many students hear this, that none of the foreign national seats. So 69 plus 12 is 81. 69 seats are for national, which means Indian nationals of different, general or for reserved or for affirmative action classes. There are 12 seats which are for foreign nationals, and those cannot be converted into national seats. Under no circumstance we can do that. SARC, non-SARC, and ICCR are interchangeable if there are no takers, but they cannot be converted into national seats. Siddharth, am I right or not?
No, because last year we had this issue during the admission process. Some parents were asking us, and they thought that we are functioning like a private institute where seats can be transferred. We cannot do it. Even if you look at our CLAD brochure, the LLB, LLM intake, we have the same formula. And if the foreign seats go vacant, they go vacant. We can't convert them into national seats. If we start doing that, we'll face court cases, and there will be serious problems. So
Sure.
this year's intake, last year we began with the intake of 60, but this year, as Pinaki has explained, we have extended the EWS category. So the intake will be 69 on the higher side, and the 12 seats are for foreign nationals, where you, of course, have applicants from neighboring countries or foreign countries. So 69 is the operative number, I think.
Got that, Siddharth. I will answer a couple of very basic questions.
Sorry,
Sorry.
Just very quickly.
Siddharth and Pinaki, you need to keep the answers shorter because there are lots of questions. I know you would like to give detailed answers, but I would like, because a lot of students ask questions and they go away if their questions are not answered quickly. So I'm going to give you a lot of time, but with a lot of questions, let's finish it and then we'll get back to the things. Yeah,
okay, just one more quick addition to the seat arrangement there. We do not have an NRI sponsored quota seat. Okay. That is also something that students need to know. I get calls from people asking me, do you have NRI sponsored? We do not have NRI sponsored seats.
Excellent. So Mansi, the answer, a very simple answer for you is yes, you can. Dr. Pinaki has very clearly said, even if you're writing only CLAT, you can get there. But I would like both of you to answer this question. Why should, Aditya Pratap Singh is asking, why should I prefer a law school for an IPM over a management institute? You have given someone an answer, but maybe
so very specific answer. Aditya, in fact, I was trying to answer it previously when I said that straight away you can't compare us to IIM Indore because they've run the program for 11 years. We are new. But what you would need to consider is what is the academic experience we are offering. Look at our faculty profiles, look at our course structure, look at the kind of options that we are giving you, and also consider the location of the city. Because Hyderabad has a very strong culture of entrepreneurship. Most of the IT and financial service jobs, in fact, are happening and are getting created in Hyderabad. And our program will give you internships and access to those networks, which is another factor that you must consider vis-a-vis other programs who may not have that locational advantage.
True. Also, I think just to answer why should I prefer a law school for IPM over a management institute, it's because life will throw you challenges that you have no idea today about, and we want to create holistic learners and managers and business leaders for tomorrow, and therefore it is our outlay is broad. Today people are talking about gender and diversity and inclusivity and gender justice. We have it in the program already. Now that's how it is, right? So there are NALSAR advantages in terms of the course offerings, and you can actually you can of course get the benefit of it.
So this is another question, which I think is a follow-up question on that by Aditya. What are the further options available in respect of jobs or higher studies after IPM from NALSAR?
So very quickly, I think higher studies you can do a PhD then of course after the PhD a postdoc and follow on, because we are a university, so we give an MBA degree, a Masters in Business Administration degree, after the 5 years, BBA plus MBA. So yeah, I mean in terms of higher studies you can do anything that your heart wants. In terms of jobs, we are talking about 2026 for our first batch, for our first intake. I can't. I'm not very good with prediction. I'm Nostradamus. Nostradamus is not me, so I would not be able to give you that that future perspective. But I can tell you that our MBA students right now, the average pay is about annual. The average CTC that they get is about 8.5, and our fees for the MBA program for the 2 years is 8 lakhs. So the ROI that people are getting out of our MBA program is in 1 year.
Can I ask one question now that while the students might not have asked, are the placements of these IPM 5-year students going to be same or will be mixed with the MBA students, so to say? Because
Good
you are going
question.
to continue to have MBA students separately, and these 5 years will join their MBA brethren.
Yeah. So the idea is that when the IPM students will enter their 4th year, we will get lateral entrants, but not many. We want to limit that number of intake as well, because of several reasons. We will have a smaller intake in the 4th year so that the total class size is limited to about 100, and the final placements that will happen for the whole group put together. But our attempt will be that your total fees, which means let's say for the IPM it is about 20 lakhs and 10,000. Your 20 lakhs and 10,000 would probably, many of them will be able to make that ROI in about 1 year's time.
Wow, that's wonderful. That means over the next 4 years, you expect that an average salary at least would be reaching the 20 lakhs number, which
Yes,
is what
yes,
currently IIM Indore provides, incidentally.
yes, absolutely. As I said, we are
One,
inspired.
Yeah, I can say a few things about higher studies.
sure,
So, a lot of people think that our law students only do LLM or PhD in law, and they're limited to that. But it's not true. Many of them go on to social sciences, political science, history, sociology, even literature. And I think with
Yeah.
the kind of program we are providing for our IPM students, I don't think your higher studies options are limited just to MBA. For example, some students may want to look at the exit option after BBA and maybe try for an IIM. That's possible, and we will give them that option. But let's say if you spend all the 5 years with us and get an MBA, nothing prevents you from moving to other disciplines. And we will give you that enabling environment, right? If people want to think about the civil service exam, people want to get into journalism, people want to get into media, we will give you the enabling environment because the nature of our coursework is such that it will give you that preparation, right? Obviously, the main focus is going to be on preparing people for entrepreneurship, for work in the corporate sector. That's obviously the core of an MBA program. But the added advantage that you will get of being located in a law school is that there are several other career options which normally you may not encounter in a business school, which you will also have access to right from the beginning. Because even in your second, third, 4th year, 5th year, your interaction is not limited just to your classmates. Already the first year IPM students who have come are closely interacting with the law students. We can see that happening in the afternoons and the evenings and in the various activity clubs. So over time, I think that cross fertilization is only going to improve. And by the time the current first year graduates in 26 or the new batch graduates in 27, there will definitely be other career options which will also open up. I'm only giving you a slice of what our students are already doing. And there is no reason to believe that the IPM students will not be able to tap into that.
excellent. Siddharth, this question, which is there on screen, is once again for you. You are a law teacher too, teaching constitutional law at the top three institute in NLU. There is an IPM, which is again coming from the same institute. What do you think one should prefer?
No,
Mr.
I get this
Agarwal asked
question because I get this question because I also have had the misfortune of being a student at NLS between 2003 and 8, and that was
Okay.
before this entire CLAT craze came up. So I think that time we didn't realize that getting into NLS used to be such a big deal. But on our alumni association group, we get a lot of queries like this. Kushal, to be completely honest with you, the 5-year B.A.Ll.B program at NALSAR started in 1998. We will be admitting our 25th batch in 2022. So the alumni networks, the visibility, the reach is definitely much more. And NALSAR under NIRF right now is ranked 3. But in terms of student quality, I think the top 5 schools are very similar. For the B.A.Ll.B, I think there's not much to choose between Bangalore, Calcutta, Hyderabad, Delhi, Jodhpur, and even Bhopal and Gandhinagar, in fact, are doing very well. But how does the IPM program compare to these top NLUs in terms of the LLB? To be honest, in terms of prestige and recruitment opportunities at the moment, obviously the B.A.Ll.B is a stronger program. But one reason for that is because it has been around for 24 years in NALSAR and 34 years at NLS. The IPM is very new, right? We are building it from scratch. But remember, you're not really competing in the same space exactly. The kind of careers, the kind of opportunities which the IPM will open for you will be quite different from what our law students are pursuing. For example, in the 2022 batch, which is just graduating from the B.A.Ll.B, out of the 120 students, around 70 are once again starting in the corporate sector in various commercial law firms. Around 25 are joining litigation chambers in their home states or sometimes in the higher courts. Some are preparing for UPSC, some are preparing for judicial services. A few are going abroad for further studies. So I don't see this pattern changing for the law students because, I mean, corporate law is going to be around 5 years from now as well. But I think the IPM students are going to be targeting a very different sector. Many of them are going to be getting into entrepreneurship. Many of them are going to be joining mainstream businesses. And of course, some who want to experiment will have other opportunities. So in a way, this is a different ball game, right? And that's also what the national education policy is requiring us to do. All we are saying is that because we have these networking advantages and reputational advantages that have come for our law program, some elements of that will be shared and transferred with the IPM program. But I don't think we can directly compare them at the moment.
Excellent. Maybe one quick word from Dr. Pinaki too on this.
Yeah, so I think it has a lot to do with what you really want to do. I mean, many a times we just listen to the noise around us, parents, peers, teachers, friends, and whatever they do becomes the line of action for us. That should not be done. I will tell you one story that I heard from Professor N.L. Mitra, who's also my mentor at NLS Bangalore, and this is about NLS Bangalore. So at NLS Bangalore, when he was the vice chancellor, he had this amazingly bright kid. But after the first term, term one in first year, where he did well, he started failing in all the courses. Just absolutely failed, flunked. So he immediately called the student and said, "Hey, you know what's up? I mean, are you unwell? Do you need help?" And the child said, "Yeah, I need help. I don't want to be here. I just don't want to be here." He said, "But you are at NLS. What else do you want to do?" He said, "Well, I don't know. I mean, if you would believe me, I want to be a guitarist." He said, "Have you gone nuts? Guitarist? I mean, you are at the NLS studying law." The child, he called his parents. Parents came, and the parents somehow managed to ensure that the kid stays at NLS. 1 year, all subjects failed. The kid dropped out. When A.R. Rahman got his Grammy, he was the guitarist.
Wow.
So that's the passion that you have to follow. I mean, I can't really tell you whether you should be in an NLU studying B.A.Ll.B, B.B.Ll.B, or B.Sc Ll.B or something, or do an IPM. I think whatever you do, do it well. Do it with your passion and all full heart.
Wonderful.
Yes.
This is a question which is important.
Drop out after 3 years.
No, it's not technically a dropout. It's an exit option because after
Option,
3 years, you can leave with a BBA degree.
Yeah.
So it's a 5-year program which gives you a BBA and an MBA together. That's why it's called Integrated Program in Management. But remember, students can leave after the 3rd year if they have cleared the subjects and met the course requirements. So it's not technically a dropout. It's you have an option to leave.
Yeah.
One question for both of you or one of you who can answer this. In IIM Indore, even after the 3-year program, to go to the PGP, the 2-year management program, there is a minimum academic criteria one has to reach.
Yeah.
It is not an automatic 4th year
Correct.
for them. Is that something similar in IPM NALSAR?
The passing marks have to be, I think the passing marks.
Yeah. Yeah. So you just have to keep passing all your courses. As I told you, we are a public university. The idea is not to block, but to enhance somebody's career. And because maybe because IIM Indore, of course, has a huge database in terms of people willing to go there. They might have some policy in with regards to their movement upwards to the fourth year, but not here. If you are pursuing the 5-year IPM program seamlessly, you pursue it seamlessly. You are admitted into the 5-year IPM program with an option. So there is a difference probably between us and them, but we have admitted you for the 5-year program with an option given to you to exit. So
Right.
I would let everybody go up, whoever wants to.
The other interesting question on quota, while you said that the 12 seats are for foreign nationals and that will
Yes.
not be added, is there
Yeah.
a specific quota for females students?
Siddharth, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
actually, in the NALSAR statute has always had a 30% horizontal for women. But to be honest, that quota is irrelevant because normally anyway you get 45% women students.
Yeah.
So it doesn't
That's
displace
a
any seats.
NALSAR NLU, that's for the law, right?
Was
Yeah.
same here, same
But
here.
IPM is covered by the same principles. So
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
so ARKS, if you read the CLAD brochure, the same reservation policy which we are applying for LLB, LLM, the same thing is applied for IPM. Just the number of seats are different.
Yeah.
Okay, got it, got it. Now, one other thing, is mathematics required to get into this program in 12th? You said very clearly not required.
It's not required, to get into the program, but I believe it will be really required for you to appear in the entrance exams. CLAT probably requires fundamental level mathematics, but for IIM Indoors, IPMAT, or for IPMAT Rohtak and GIPMAT, and of course for IIT JEE, those requirements of mathematics are pretty high.
Correct.
Post you getting into the program, if someone finds themselves with a shorthand in terms of mathematics, then we have a very solid structure of hand holding and peer group learning. So people don't really find it that difficult. I was amazed to see that at the beginning of the year there were students who used to run away when they saw numbers, but by the time the year ended, they were the same ones who wanted to run up to the board to solve a problem. That to me is an achievement for our IPM program.
Excellent, excellent. Is there a minimum score or cutoff for the 10th class and 12th class marks?
Yeah, 60%. And of
60%.
course, for general and for affirmative action, it's 55.
And one question, of course, it has not come in here, but this is some questions which have asked me students or parents actually. You gave two stages. Stage one is written test. Stage two is the personal interview. Do you also consider any weightage for the 10th and 12th marks?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. So our 10th class weightage is 12.5%. The 12th class is
Okay,
12.5%, because you really cannot assess intent in an interview. It's very difficult. I mean, I'm sure you know better, but
so
preparing people
25%
for
marks.
interviews is a different thing, and appearing in the interview is a different thing. But showing intent is very important. And therefore we have given marks for the 10th and 12th class percentages as well, the scores that you get in 10th and 12th. Yeah.
Sapna has asked this question a little while back. Probably Siddhartha, I probably will like you also to answer this along with Pinaki. 5 long years after 12th. Typically your graduation is 3 years, or engineering also is 4 years, except of course for BARC. Uh, do you think it is a good kind of things when somebody is taking a decision for 5 years? How is the NALSAR IPM program, or specifically the IPM program, useful when you take this decision?
So actually, Sapna, this is one of the reasons why we kept the exit option, because obviously the national education policy talks about exit options at multiple stages. But in our case, we knew that a lot of students sometimes will come into the program, they will spend 2 to 3 years, but they may have other career options or other interests which motivate them
Like the
more.
guitarist.
Yeah, so I mean that's an extreme example, but it's possible that a person in their third year may feel that rather than study management, I want to get into journalism or literature, or rather than studying in college, you want to start your own business. So I think we want to give that option to students to decide, because I think by after you spend 2 or 3 years in college, you'll be able to make a much more informed choice. But the reason why we've kept it as a 5-year program is because in the long term, the employment markets have become more competitive, And whether it is starting your own business or getting into an existing corporate house, having an MBA degree has more or less become a requisite. So even if you look at the Andhra Pradesh and Telangana market, you have a large number of new B schools which have come up. Of course, at one point, the B schools had suddenly expanded. But generally, if you look at the good entrepreneurial activities which are happening even in these two states, people generally come in after an MBA. Even for students who go back to their home state and want to develop, let's say, in this sector, an MBA is a prerequisite. So, which is the reason why we've kept it as a 5-year program. And I think a 5-year period will also give you time for your own social, emotional, and intellectual growth. Because generally, when you come in at the age of 17 or 18, a lot of people have not gone beyond their home state. So it's the first time that they meet people who speak different languages, come from different cultures, dress differently, think differently. So college is also a cultural experience. It's not just sitting in class and doing the assignments, but it's also meeting people from all over the country, making friends from other states, other countries. And in that sense, the 5-year experience is really valuable. And again, to go back to my own experience as a student, I mean, it's been about 15 years since I graduated from a 5-year program, though it was a law program. But more than the academics, it's the friendships which you form with people above you, people below you, your own classmates, which are actually lifelong friendships. So I think that's the other advantage of doing a longer program.
This is a more specific question. I think probably some operational person can take care. Archana is asking, I can't submit the application form as it's showing to fill the CLAT and IPM results, but not the exams are not conducted.
Yeah.
No, you just have to save and exit so that you can come back and upload those details when the results are out. You can write
the last date is July 2nd, if I'm not wrong. Am I right?
10th of July is the last date.
Correct. So for all of you who are listening to this, the last date for the IPM program at NALSAR is 10th of July, which is after the CLAT exam, after the IPMAT Rohtak and Indore exam, and I think JIPMAT exam also. All of them will be over. Very correct. Okay. One other important question to both of you. Siddharth, just to make a comment on it, when you said very correctly that 5 years will give them a much longer view of understanding their own social and socio-economic systems with the rest of the world. Even there have been comments that MBA should be not 2 years but 3 years. Otherwise, everybody is thinking of only placements. One significant question that I want to ask you is, how do you look at internships between every year of the IPMs? How is there a mandatory internships available? Because normal degree programs don't have it.
Yeah. So because of because of the pandemic last year, our academic year started a bit late. So the students have gone away for summer internships right now, and Pinaki can tell you more about it. But if you read the structure, there is a mandatory internship at the end of every year. So in 5 years, they will do a minimum of 4 long summer internships, and every year the nature of the internship is different, and the placement officer who is appointed specially for the management department helps them. So, and there is a gradation. In the first year, they work with social sector organizations, then they work with startups, then they work with corporates, so that gradually they're able to then also find jobs in the organizations that they intern with. And it's a substantial period. It's a 2-month internship.
Yeah.
So obviously this time our calendar got affected, which is why the internship, I think, is 45 days. But from next year onwards, the internships will be almost 2 months. I think Pinaki can give you more information on that.
True. I think Sidharth has already explained everything. I mean, that's exactly how it is. The idea behind the internships, of course, is that to be able to explore your own career, you need to explore your capabilities, and therefore we give them different options to explore their own interest areas. Starting with the social sector, that is where real India lives. And if many of us will probably be born in a city and leave the earth. Depending on where you're from, I mean, you might be awaiting a return, but for at least people like me, I will leave the planet without probably ever seeing where the real India lives. The market today lives in the rural part, and therefore we want to spend our students, and they learn a lot by staying and living their lives. So they live the lives of the villagers essentially in the first internship. Right now, students are spread all across the country doing internships at various villages from up north to down south.
That's excellent. This is another question. While filling the form, there was a section for entering the scores of this one. So what should I do? You can. So Anshwir Nath, you can do it later, you save it and come back to it when you have the results, because the last date is July 10th. So don't worry about that at all. Now, this is an interesting question. Less students in a batch, is it a hindrance compared to good size in a law program? Because you
So
have
I think
60
I
versus
think of course
160.
Sidharth will explain further. But even in the law program, each section is defined in terms of the number of students. So there are two sections, section
Yeah.
A and section B. And in each class, there are about, I mean, right now, I think with the new changes, it will be about 80 students. We just have one section which is of 80 students.
So there's no
Less
difference at
students
all.
in the batch, is it a hindrance? I think you can look at the glass and say whether it is half full or half empty. To me, it's half full, where all my teachers give individual attention to the students. They are available for them 24/7. They help them understand concepts better. The connection, the linkages that they establish with the teachers is far greater. Yeah, I mean, otherwise, I don't know why it would be a hindrance, because, in schools right now, good schools are having a class size of 25. This is
Yeah.
schools. I mean,
Right.
in schools, the class size is 25, and the idea behind the size of 25 is absolute attention to details and an individual connection. We I believe that we are dealing with a little grown up kids, so we can extend it to about 70. Yeah, Siddharth, please.
Yeah, no, in fact, having a small class size is an advantage because you get more interaction with your classmates. You get more individual attention after class hours. Vis-a-vis the law program, remember the law program at the moment has 5 batches, so each batch has 2 sections. And for the coming intake, the intake will be 160, but as Pinaki explained, it will be 2 sections of 80. In comparison, the IPM will be 1 section of less than 80. So over 4 years, of course, the law students are numerically in a majority, but I don't think that should cause any problem for the IPM or MBA students because over 5 batches, they will also become around nearly 400 students.
Yeah,
And the law program will stabilize at around 800 by 2025. Of course, there are other programs like Ll.M, and we might have a 3-year LLB if our plans go ahead. So it's still a very relatively small and compact campus. From around
Excellent.
850 students this year, we may reach around 1400 in 4 years. We don't have a massive expansion plan. It's a gradual expansion plan. So I think even in terms of your campus experience, it won't really affect you. In fact, the IPM students from the first batch, their first 2 trimesters were online because of the pandemic, but their third term was physical. They were here for the last 3 months, and the interaction was fantastic. They were
yeah.
participating in all the cultural activities. We knew they were having after class discussions. And I think the integration that we were imagining has already started happening.
Right. So we'll take one. It's almost 45 minutes. Couple more questions. Of course, I'll answer this Nagesh's question myself. Is NALSAR conducting a separate IPMAT? At least not for this year. Probably this question should give you an idea. Maybe you can start it next year kind of things. But bef- before we end, may I request Dr. Pinaki to give us a broad idea once again what you started off with, so that any student who is looking at this video, which will be available to all the students, and we will send it to all the career launcher students as well as any inquiries who have come for BBA, MBA. It will be very, very useful. Sabarna Jana is asking, explain
So,
admission process for IPMAT. Yeah.
So Savarna, it's very simple. You have to visit our website. There's an apply now button. Click on the button, land up on the registration page. Once you register, an ID and a password will be mailed to you from the system. Once you get that, click on the link, go to the application form page. I think you will have to pay the fees. It's nominal. It's only 1,200 rupees for general candidates and 800 for affirmative action students who are applicants. Of course, then you will have to fill in your personal details like how many marks you got in 10th class, school name, all of those. And as of now, of course, some of you might not have your 12th class mark sheets. So if you have, then you can fill them up. If you don't, then you just have to proceed in terms of save and submit later. And then, of course, for the exams that I have just now mentioned, IIM Rohtak's IPMAT Rohtak, IPMAT Indore, JIPMAT, CLAT, and IIT JEE. Even those scorecards are not available right now. So when they are available, you can upload those scorecards. In addition to that, I must also tell you that we are a partner institute to IIM Indore as well. As I said, we are inspired. So we are partner institute to IIM Indore. When they will release the scores of the IIM Indore's IPMAT exam, we will also get a copy and a link to cross check the applicant scores. And once that is done, we will be sending out call letters for interviews. Each interview will last close to about 15 to 20 minutes, because we want to ask you things that you know and you can express well. Please keep reading. Expand your horizon by reading newspapers and creating an opinion which is informed. And of course, yes, so this is a residential program, and because it is a residential program, we want to also know whether you can adjust in a residential program on the campus. So some of the questions in the interviews will revolve around these kind of things. Interviews last for about 15-20 minutes, and they are rigorous. So please prepare well. I mean, I'll give you one example of a question that I might ask, or Sidharth will probably ask even tougher questions. But for me, one of the questions that I would probably want to ask, instead of asking, can you tell me something about yourself, which is the first question that is usually trained to the applicants, to the interviewers, to the interviewees, I would probably ask you, can you tell me one thing which your best friend hates about you? That tells me a lot about how you think about yourself and how deeply you know yourself. And that's more important to me, rather than asking you, tell me something about yourself. So that same question will be broken down, and we would want to know more about you. That's about it. If you are through, then we will be offering you seats. And if we are lucky enough, and so are you, then we will meet again in the class where you might not like us anymore. Mathematics is a mandatory subject for all the 3 terms in the first year. And make learning fun. We want to make learning as much fun as possible. Our students are doing so much in terms of photography, dance, drama, theater, videos. I think I was bamboozled with the amount of quantum of skills and abilities that they have. So yeah, I mean, if I see you, then I will see you soon.
There's a
And
question about
Dr. Shrikant Reddy is asking, how do you normalize different exam scores?
Yeah, so we use the stat scores by normalize. So let's say the interview scores or the entrance exam scores usually are all plugged into the system, and we take the highest and the lowest and then do the normalization. So for the interviews also, we do 2 rounds of normalization, because you see there will be multiple panels doing multiple interviews spread over days. So what we do is, first we average out the panel scores for each student, and then we not that is 1 round of normalization, averaging out. Let's say there are 3 panelists for each student. So we first average it out, and then we put it on normalization for all the panels put together for all the students. So that's how we normalize the scores.
Excellent, excellent. One question that this gentleman Flash, I don't know who is asking, after career options after 12. You have asked this so many times, Flash, whoever you are. Like Dr. Sidharth has said, and Pinaki, and I'm just reiterating, the best option available to you, 2 streams. One is the law stream, one is the BBA, MBA stream. Frankly, among various other streams, I'm not saying others are not good, but these 2 streams that are available, both the law stream and the BBA, MBA stream, are probably the most coveted ones, have the best scope over a period of time, and both in terms of responsibility, money, uh, you know, recognition, all these things will be excellent for you in that sense of the word. So what I'll do right now is get you both gentlemen on screen, saying that what do you, one last thing that you will advise. People are writing their board still, still have to write their entrance examinations, and they would like to get into let's say an IPM of NALSAR. What do you advise them?
Follow your passion, do well. We are here to help. Reach out to us if you need any assistance. But for me, the bigger thing is think, learn, and do. Whatever you think about yourself, give it all your best to learn more about it, and then take an action. Be proud of your action always.
No, what I'd like to say is that the class 12 period is quite an important one from the long-term point of view, because the decision that you make now is actually going to shape your career or your life for a long time. So spending 3 years in college or 5 years in college will actually have an impact downstream several decades later. But don't let the pressure get to you. Remember, India is a large country. There are many good higher educational institutions which are offering courses in different streams. You may or may not get into the college of your choice. That's perfectly fine. So make an informed choice about the disciplines that you're interested in, the colleges which you think are worthwhile, and then just give it your best. I mean, all of us learn at different speeds. We have different motivations. We have different interests. And ultimately, you're not competing with anyone else in the long run. You're only trying to improve and refine yourself as you grow older. So we are a relatively new player in the management studies discipline. In law, we do have a benefit of some previous experience, but it doesn't mean that there aren't other colleges out there. There are definitely other institutions which are offering stronger programs, a more diverse student body, and other advantages. So please make an informed choice and then investigate your options. And definitely, wherever you go, you will do well, right?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Sidharth and Dr. Pinaki. I will give one last advice to you guys. You will have to write these exams. If you need any help, Career Launcher has always been there with the mocks, with the mock analysis, and any kind of training that you read. You still have time for that for most of these exams. Do get in touch with us. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel without fail on Career Launcher so that many more such sessions, YouTube live sessions from not just NALSAR, but also an IIM Indore or Rohtak, etc. will keep happening. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for sparing your Sunday morning with Career Launcher and with all our students.
Thank you, Akshan. Thank you, everybody. Good luck. Good luck.